What is up, everybody, and welcome to The List, where I break down details from the Denver Nuggets that you might have missed and things that I find interesting. Today, we're looking at Game 1 of the NBA Finals between Nuggets and Miami Heat, and a couple things stood out to me. Number one, obviously the size advantage, but not just the size advantage for Denver, but how they deployed it, how they used that to their advantage and the different actions that they run, and of course, the versatility and their ability to read things on the fly and adjust in real time. Let's get into it. Very first play of the game I thought was interesting. You get a little cross screen for Jokic here. You're going to see him go under two screens, or over here rather, and you're going to see Bam fronting Jokic in the post. That was the game plan coming in. They're going to front him, make him make hard passes. But what I like about this, Denver and Murray and Jokic have seen everything for years together. You're going to see Jokic just turns it into a screen. Rather than fight it, he just gets over, he sees it's a front, screens Bam, Murray reads it immediately and knows that there's not going to be any help at the basket, and he turns it to 2 quick points. So I love it because automatically on the very first play of the game, Denver knows what they're going to do with something they hadn't seen or wasn't certain how they were going to guard him. You get down here, same thing. You're going to see a front, but what Jokic does, rather than try to fight the front, he knows Aaron Gordon, if he pins the man, the paint's wide open and there's no rim protection. Aaron Gordon reads it automatically, attacks. Even a good defender with no rim protection, this is just easy layups. So again, Denver adjusting on the fly, understanding how to read this. Here we get those cross screens. You see the front. Now Jokic again can fight it, but instead he goes up high for the screen, knowing Bam is going to go from fighting to now drop. Murray just gets right to his spot, loves that baseline jumper. It makes him pay. So 3 different ways Denver took advantage of Bam fronting Jokic all game. The other big thing that I thought textured this game, which was that the Nuggets were going to drop against Bam. So and Jimmy Butler pick and roll. So you're going to see Jokic, who doesn't like to play a lot of drop coverage, not very good at it as a rim protector, but he knows that if they can funnel the ball, allow all the other defenders to stay home and funnel the ball to Bam, he was going to get a steady diet of those little 10-footers, which Denver's willing to live with. And you're going to see a healthy dose of these throughout the game and through different scenarios. Here's another one. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo pick and roll. Jokic just down at the foul line in the paint, daring them to do something else. Everybody staying home. And you see how it disrupts the offense. They get down to 7 seconds. Jimmy actually hits a great shot here. But again, if Denver can force you into late shot clock, pull up contested jumpers, that's a win for Denver. And then lastly, we get Jokic drop and pick and roll. Jimmy settles for the jumper. He's capable of hitting those. But again, Denver trusts their offense so much that they'll allow those types of shots over and over again. We do have one more example here. Look at Jokic. On this one, he has to step up. So this is interesting. Jimmy Butler, a handful of others he's going to drop against, but against their better shooters, and in particular Max Strus, you're going to see Jokic is actually playing up higher to take it away. But what Denver's doing on the backside is KCP is sitting on this, immediately steps up to force once again that 8-foot jumper that the Denver's willing to live with. Contest it. Bam hit a lot of them in this game, but not nearly enough to keep up with the high-powered offense that Denver has. And then Jokic just had such great game plan discipline. You're going to see him have to guard multiple pick and rolls. And one right here, Duncan Robinson, that's a show. Get up. Everybody recovers. Now we're going to go the other way. We're going to get into Kyle Lowry, maybe a little bit more of a drop. Kyle Lowry did hit a couple threes late in the fourth quarter, but Denver appears happy to be in drop coverage for that one. So Jokic, I thought, did a good job all game of knowing exactly what type of pick and roll coverage he needed to do. And then we'll look at a couple counters here with Miami. This was in the fourth quarter. You can see after Bam Adebayo having a great first 3 quarters scoring the basketball, kind of realizing Denver's luring him in. Only 65 points through 3 quarters. So Bam, rather than go for these, I think he made the adjustment, and it was too late, but they made the adjustment to, hey, use the drop coverage, use Jokic conceding these things against him, and instead of just going right into jumpers, come back out and get into quick DHOs, flip the screen, and try to catch him out of position. I expect Bam to pass up a lot more floaters and mid-range jumpers in game 2 and try to hunt some of these screens for the more likely shooters. I love that counter. They actually get Jokic twice on it, fake DHO, and then go. Even Cody Zeller. This is clearly something. I mentioned this in the Lakers series, by the way. Rui Hachimura had success. LeBron James had success on this. You catch Jokic sleeping once or twice a game because he has to show so high, and you're going to see it here at the end. He goes up to show, and he gets beat by Cody Zeller. They're just trying to take advantage of Jokic's anticipation on a lot of these plays. Cross matches were the story of game 1, especially in the first quarter. Here you get a Max Strus miss And who's contesting it? Aaron Gordon. Right here, he contests the shot. Miss. If you make it, obviously it's big, but when you miss, it compounds. I thought a lot of Miami's problems compounded, which is why I think Game 2 will be so different, because now in transition, Max Strus has to guard Aaron Gordon, and that's light work. We're going to see another one here. Miss in transition, block again, and now we're sprinting. Aaron Gordon's the deepest man back, so somebody has to pick him up. It's Caleb Martin, and we're going to get the ball right inside. If Bam Adebayo's guarding Jokic, he's the rim protector. If he's out on the perimeter, it means there's no rim protection. In transition, Aaron Gordon just bully balls his way into the basket. Another one here. Wide open shot. Miami's going to make some of these in Game 2. But when you miss those, here goes Aaron Gordon. Gabe Vincent inside. That's a horrible mismatch. And this is going to be light work. Denver spaces the court. No rim protection. As easy as it gets. And these are all cross matches. This one's off of a make, but you see... you still get an opportunity to kind of push and transition. Let's see what we get out of this one. Oh, yeah. So what's the cross match? This time it's for Jokic. Again, cross matches are such killer. Bam's really the only guy that can even remotely resist Jokic. But if you get a situation where it's Max Strus, you have to help. And that means helping off of a 42% three-point shooter. That's automatic. Another one in transition. Missed shot. Run it the other way. Porter does a good job of running it up the court, but not forcing it. And as a result, you have mismatches. Look at that weak side. Aaron Gordon's inside. Everybody sees it. Jokic sees it. Layup. Miami, this is why they don't put pressure on the rim on Denver. On the other end is because they're so worried about transition in these cross matches, and for good reason. These don't show up as fast break points, but they are fast break points because they happened in transition. It just took 10 seconds for the team to kind of get the ball where it needed to go. But it was in transition that they created the advantage. But even when it wasn't in the half court, Denver did a good job of getting switches. Early on in the game, you saw how easy Miami conceded that rub action. They fought through it a little bit more, but here's a little, screen. They were fine doing this. Jokic is too good, though. If you're going to switch Gabe Vincent onto him, they're going to find the angle over time to get him the ball. And then here, I love this one because this is a classic Denver action. You just get this little cross here out of horn set. But what happens is this is a Murray back screen for Aaron Gordon. It's one of Denver's most common actions, screen-the-screener actions. And the reason it's so effective is these two players, the guard guarding Murray and the forward guarding Gordon, don't want to switch. Jimmy Butler can guard anybody, but Gabe Vincent cannot guard Aaron Gordon, as we've seen. So he fronts this, thinking, I'm going to take away the back screen angle. But Denver adjusts on the fly and just slips it. If you're going to play above, they'll get below, and this is an easy dunk. Again, these things aren't called. Denver's just been running their actions with such continuity for so many years that these things are easy to them. Here we get the reverse. This time it's Gordon back screening for Murray. You'll see it here. We get the back screen. And they both think that they don't want to release, right? Usually, if you get a back screen like this, Jimmy's going to have to sink down, but then that's a mismatch for Gabe Vincent. So Jimmy stays thinking Vincent's going to go through. Gabe Vincent thinks, I'm too late, you got to help me out. Both of them stay on Aaron Gordon, and what do we get? Another wide open dunk from Jamal Murray. This is not bad defense from Miami, by the way. These are difficult things to guard because of Denver's personnel. You pick one poison. If Denver adjusts quickly enough, they'll find the other option here. And here you get a nice little flare. So what do? We just created a switch. That flare screen option off of a very similar action got the switch that they wanted, but Murray does not recognize that Aaron Gordon has Highsmith in the post. You see Jokic is pointing to him, like, get it to him. He instead decides he wants to ISO and misses it. There were a couple of these throughout the game. I think Denver can do an even better job of exploiting that mismatch. And then this play right here is becoming Michael Porter Jr.'s signature play. I always say he's a receiver, not a running back. When people think plays, they think crossover, step back, footwork. Michael Porter is an off-ball player, and what I like from him is you're going to see him set the flare screen here, meaning he's coming over to set a flare screen for Jamal, which would trigger a switch. But when the defense assumes that there is going to be a switch on this, Porter slips to the basket, and now this guy who's supposed to be guarding him is out of position. And what happens? Slips to the basket and gets a power dunk, one of his best dunks of the season. But let's watch it again here. Flare, slip, get to the rim, put back. It's becoming his signature. He loves that flare screen. And like with Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter's so tall that oftentimes the point guard guarding Murray, if you set a flare screen for Murray and they switch it, he's going to have a height advantage on those. Here we get another example of it. This is more of a flare and release. Denver runs screen the screen, the action, nothing goes, so now we're playing basketball. Boom. Looks like he's setting the screen. You see the defender anticipate, okay, I'm going to switch on to Murray, release right into the dribble handoff, get the shot up, and he's going to make those in game 2. Michael Porter was the one Nugget who was really off. And then we get to Jokic, and this is just default setting Jokic. What makes Denver so great, and their starting lineup the best in the NBA this year, is that not only do you have to get back, you saw how Miami sprinted back so they don't get start from a point of cross matches in transition, but even in the half court, look how easily Denver forces cross matches, right? So far, nothing. Jokic flare screen, ball screen. They're going to switch this because it's late shot clock. They're thinking, okay, we've wasted a little late shot clock, so the ball's not going to get popping out of this, but Jokic is too good. He gets right to the basket for a foul. You cannot switch the Jokic. So we can't switch Gordon. You don't want to switch Porter. You don't want to switch Murray. You can't switch Jokic. Here's another one. They switched. They tried this early on. Just not going to work against Jokic. He's too big, even with, all NBA defenders. And what I love about Jokic is it's not always, I think 9 out of 10 bigs are going to force this here because it's a mismatch. Oh, I got him. Jokic realizes that the better mismatch is actually Bam Adebayo in help. He's not guarding shooters out on the perimeter as much. I know he's a versatile big, but he knows that he has to provide help to Jokic. So this flare screen happens all the way down at the foul line, and watch Murray move to meet it, create as much distance as you can, get to the top, and drain it. Again, Miami's going to have to, in game 2, never switch anything with Jokic, which means you're always trailing the play. Another example, get back, and now you're going to send, let's see, single coverage. Jokic is going to make this light work. That's an automatic foul on Bam. If they adjust to not send help like they did on this play, Denver spaces the court too well. Look at that room he has to operate. Nobody can handle him inside, let alone Bam. And then we're going to see what happens when they adjust and send lots of help. Let's get the ball inside. Actually, we'll rewind it to right here. Get Jokic inside. Bam's not able to front in time, so now the help comes. Quick pass, swing it, wide open shot. Again, Porter's going to hit these in the next game. He doesn't usually miss too many games in a row. And then right here, the best pass of the entire night. Jokic gets post position, not fronting this time. Help comes from the weak side this time. Jokic sees it, spins the other direction. And by the way, let's break this down for real quick if we can. Look at in slow motion how Jokic holds the ball like he's going to shoot. Right now, the helpers are here and here. They both think a shot is going up. And the pass, which means the reason it's so great is that pass comes so late that the defense has no chance. If you telegraph that in any way, the defense maybe starts rotating and makes a catch. The fact that Jokic turned, looks at the hoop like he's going to shoot it, then throws what's almost a no-look pass across to the opposite corner, buys an extra half second, and gets the Nuggets a bucket. And then much was made yesterday about Michael Porter's great defense. A lot of that just because of his length. His length served him. I mean, Denver just looked like the bigger team all night. You get an ISO, it's Jimmy Butler, likes the matchup, put him in pick and roll. You get to go under on Jimmy because he's not the best three-point shooter. And of course, that length makes things hard, that drop coverage and that length. Another one with Michael Porter getting tested this time. Caleb Martin wants to get him an ISO. And you can see, even though he gets beat, he's able to recover and get a big boy block. His length really served him in this game. And then here's another one. Doesn't get the block on this one, but again, Jimmy Butler, pick and roll. He actually gets trapped going over, but he never stops, and he gets a hand up. Jimmy, not the best three-point shooter, but if we look at this contest, look at where he gets on that. Hand right at the ball, almost gets a block out of that, and that's just the type of shots that keeps people guessing. Let's see him here. Up on Highsmith, chases, stays connected, and just gets a hand up. Denver will live with those types of tough shots from Miami. Even if they hit them, they'll live with them, which is good contests with length. And then, of course, look at this one. Denver doesn't run this type of action for Michael Porter or KCP too often, but they will run it a few times a game. You got Kyle Lowry guarding Michael Porter. He's too small. You run just a basic pin down and trust that you get to go right into the shooting motion. Kyle Lowry is trying his hardest to stay connected, but fighting through a Jokic screen is just too much. You get a little bump, and then he's too tall. That there's nothing. I mean, he's not even close to contesting that shot. Michael Porter gets the easy swish. A couple little odds and ends here to round this out. I love, if you keep an eye on KCP here, Michael Malone always preaches sprinting to the corner. Here's KCP. Deepest guy back, but look at the energy and effort he puts in to get into the corner. Sprints, and the reason it's important is Denver's going to finish with a wide open layup, or actually they get fouled. But let's take a look at this here as KCP gets the corner. Duncan Robinson realizes he wants to be in help, shrink the court, get in the middle, but he realizes he can't risk it, so he gets out. Murray drags the defender out who was on Jokic. So if you watch this all unfold, Jokic's not open, he's guarded. Murray gets by the first line of defense, so now Jokic's guy steps up, Everybody gets out, and we get a bucket. If you don't sprint on that, you don't open that easy thing up in transition, and KCP, just a pro at always doing the little details right. And then I had one note here about Aaron Gordon on a drop-off. As good as he has been in this game, I think he even had opportunities to be even more dominant. You're going to see here, Denver runs a little double pin down, strong pin down. They get it inside, get it back to Jokic, and then Jokic is going to spin. But look at this lane he has for a dunk. As good as he can be as a three-point shooter, if I'm Aaron Gordon, I'm reading the court, and when my guy commits, I'm crashing the boards so that I'm tomahawk dunking that instead of shooting an air ball from the corner. So that does it for today's clips. I thought Denver looked great in game one. They won in all the ways we anticipated and previewed going into the series. Their length, their ability to adapt on the fly. Again, that first play was so impressive that Denver did it right away without having to know any of the scouting report. Oh, they're gonna front, let's go into this action, get a layup out of it. And Denver did that all game. And then their size and the difficulty you present to a small team that likes to play small when you say, no, we have players that can punish you with their height. So if you switch the wrong guy onto him, it's dunk after dunk after dunk. That's what Denver did all in this game and through the first three quarters at least. And I think it's a reason that I feel confident with them.